The state of Indiana is now being sued by a man who tried to break into his garage. Police say that the homeowner, David McLaughlin, opened fire on David Bailey as he tried to run away from his property. A bullet from McLaughlin's gun hit Bailey in the left arm as he ran down an alleyway. Well, now Bailey is suing McLaughlin for damages due to pain and suffering. Yodit Tewolde is a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, and Bob Bianchi is a criminal defense attorney, former head prosecutor, and a trial attorney. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much. This is a fascinating case here. Let's just get a couple things clear. The man who burglarized the garage was running away from the homeowner at the time, and at the time he was shot, he was not on private property. He was in an alleyway. How does that factor into this case?
Well, here he's suing him in civil court, correct? So at this point, the jury will have to decide whether the threat, the deadly force that was used by this homeowner was appropriate in the case. When you use deadly threat or deadly force, you have to repel an attack of some sort. The threat at that point, this intruder, if the facts do align with what he's saying, was running away from the house, was in an alley, off his property, off this homeowner's property. So at that point, this deadly force was not reasonable to neutralize a threat. There was no threat. So he would probably be arguing this in a civil suit to, one, prove damages, that he actually was shot in the arm, it went through an artery. He's going to have to prove that this was, he sustained permanent damage because of this. And he's also probably going to use the homeowner's guilty plea in the criminal negligence or criminal recklessness that he actually pled guilty to in shooting him. That's going to help.
Because the homeowner admitted that he did, in fact shoot him. Bob, when you look at this case, I'm sure some folks out there are looking at this saying, wait a minute, how is this even possible that the homeowner is now getting sued by the burglar? Yeah. And the burglar confessed to having tried to burglarize a place.
That's a great point. And what lawyers have to understand when they're trying cases is the term jury nullification. This guy has been a perfectly law-abiding citizen. He had a great job. There was an
You're
intruder,
referring to the homeowner.
To the homeowner.
Here.
An intruder comes into his home, so he's not coming in there with clean hands.
No, it's his garage, not which may or not
his property.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he is startled. He goes out there. Yeah, he fired those shots, and under the law, the criminal law, technically, he committed a violation. But I cannot see jurors that are going to look at this situation and say, if I were in this situation, I may have made that mistake. I think the civil case is not a good case at all, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Well, you're given the presumption, however, that if someone comes into your home uninvited at night, that the homeowner has a reasonable fear for his life. However, you don't get that presumption when the individual is outside of your home, off your property.
Well,
and we're taking a look at some of the pictures here, and it appears it's a little bit difficult to see, but it appears as though the garage is somewhat separated from the house. So does that even make a difference?
Yeah, see, we're talking about the difference between law and the reality of a courtroom. As a prosecutor myself, I've had situations in which people have done something very similar to this, and you can't help but have a feeling of sympathy for these individuals. I don't even think this guy should have been prosecuted. And if I feel that way as a guy who used to make those decisions, I have a funny feeling they're going to have a hard time in front of the jury. Technical violation? Yeah. But this guy was a criminal. He was committing a crime, and the other guy was defending his property. I don't think he makes a sympathetic person in a civil case.
But on the other hand, Yodit, I mean, it's not as though the burglar was on top of this man, coming in his direction. He was in the garage and then ran away.
Exactly.
Shot in the back of the arm as he was fleeing in an alleyway. So how does that factor in?
And again, he was just shooting aimlessly, according to the facts. This homeowner was shooting at night into an alley. Who knows who he could have hurt? So of course, as a former prosecutor, I would have prosecuted this man because you could have actually hurt someone else.
Look, I have those cases, but the fact of the matter is that no one else was hurt. Yes, there's no question technically he violated the law by firing rounds down an alleyway when the guy was no longer a threat to him. But I think sometimes you have to use the rule of reason and understand the circumstances. And you know as well as I do, prosecutors have wide discretion to not prosecute cases even when people have committed technical crimes.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Great debate. I think a lot of folks will see both sides to this issue. Yodit and Bob Bianchi, thank you so much for joining us. John?
There's also